If you're having paranormal issues, contact us at mwghosthunters.com. From the files of the Midwest Ghost Hunters.
All right, Midwest Ghost Hunters site investigation, recorder 1.
Oh, Dustin, right there. Something just moved behind you.
Yes, it did.
What the was that?
What happened?
Something touched my ear, man.
What's that?
This is Dark Matter with Midwest Ghost Hunters.
We're at Pythian Castle in Springfield, Missouri. We realized at the end of last week's we didn't even do the one thing we were going to do on that podcast, and that was play that EVP.
This is a couple of podcasts ago, and it's the one that I thought was so interesting because it was Dustin's moment, because Tyler had a moment just like this on our podcast, and it was a deal that we were in here one day, and the activity in this room was so high. Every time that we would do anything, we would get something. And so Tyler got mad at the ghost. He's like the only ghost hunter in the history of the world that would get angry at a ghost for interrupting him.
Story.
And so he said, God damn it, let me finish. And so this was a similar moment with Dustin, but Dustin handled it a little differently.
Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and pull it up and play it real quick, and then we can break it down a little bit after.
That would be like...
Did you hear that?
Yeah, it was... No.
Yes, it would. It would be cool.
What was he even talking about? Was it Bigfoot?
I don't know. It was something Bigfoot related that Dustin was talking. I think he was talking about the fact that if a spaceship showed up, he wanted the spaceship to have vampires and Bigfoots in it.
He wanted Bigfoots and vampires to roll out of it.
That's what he wanted.
I forgot about that.
Because I just jumped in with my $6 million man Bigfoot story.
Yep. Let's go ahead and play it one more time here. You can hear, it sounds like something says no.
Yeah, it's like, no.
And it's near the very beginning, right after, while Dustin's talking here.
That would be like...
There.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, sure it doesn't say go.
Maybe.
Yes, it would. It would
sounded
be cool.
Kind of like a hard G, maybe.
G.
Maybe it does say go.
All right, here we go.
That would be like...
Did you hear that?
Yeah,
it was
no.
Yes, it would. It would be cool.
It does have that throaty hard G in it, but I can't tell.
Well, Dustin was talking about going on a spaceship and stuff like that.
Just go, man. I don't know, but that was a good... Were there any more from... I thought
there were a few more, but that was really the big gem.
I can't remember which one is which. I thought it was one where you were talking. Let me see if this is it right here.
That was unbelievably there.
Yeah, you could hear something talking over you behind. And this was just your mic, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's do it again.
That was unbelievably...
Yeah, I can't tell what it said. But I do hear something. Let's try this one.
I don't believe in Bigfoot either.
I know. That's what we were saying.
I don't understand the thing. Yeah.
Anyway. I think we played that one.
Yeah.
That's a good one, though. I had marked it as a good one. That's why I played it again accidentally. But anyway, that one's good. Last week, we talked about the Art Bell stuff a little bit, about the movie that's coming out with Paul Giamatti, and we talked about some of the famous callers that have called into Art Bell, and one of those that I kind of mentioned in passing, the guy from the Amityville house. Oh, it was George Lutz. That's it. Okay. I always get confused on this story because there was a family that moved in there, and then the guy, shot his whole family, and his name was DeFeo.
Now, this one happened with no doubt at all. That's a factual, that happened, right?
Yes, that happened. His name was Ron DeFeo, and with a .35 caliber rifle, he shot his parents and 4 siblings as they slept because he was only 23 years old. So that's how that happened. And then he got dressed and went to work. And then later that day, after work, he burst into a bar and claimed, someone's attacked my family. But it wasn't until the court proceeding, that process started, that they realized that this guy was a heavy drug user.
Okay.
He was a heavy drug user, and he blamed a demonic force for causing him to not only be a drug user, but then to be a murderer too.
Okay. So supposedly, according to him, it was the demonic force that brought on all this stuff.
And there is proof that he was into Satanism, and he did do some rituals, for whatever that's worth.
Okay.
Oh, he had a little room they called the Red Room because it was painted entirely red.
Okay.
And there was a small cubbyhole where he kept his satanic artifacts in it.
And that supposedly is what then gave rise to all this Amityville stuff, right?
Yeah.
At
so
least
that
in theory.
was the original family that was there in the 50s, I believe. So that happened. And then fast forward to the 70s, and then you've got the Lutz family.
And they're the first family that moves in there after this occurs. Is that right?
I think so. Seems like there's an awfully long
time between those happening, but
yeah, it does. I don't know. Anyway, George and Kathy Lutz moved into the house. The house only cost $80,000. Amityville's in New York, and this is a very, even back then in the 70s, that's a very high value property. Amityville, New York is on the beach up there in New York. So that's very high valued property, and this house to be only $80,000 is a steal. So George and Kathy Lutz moved into it, and they had kids. So what I'm trying to see is how many.
If you look at that house, though, today's value, because I was doing this the other day at work, its value is not that much higher than anything else in the neighborhood now, because everything else has become so unbelievably expensive with homes.
Well, this house has been on the market recently. I remember mentioning it on the podcast at one time for like $3 million.
I want to say it sold not that long ago for substantially less than that. I mean, not that much money. I mean, not in this age. I mean, it's a lot of money, but not that much money. At least that's what I'm thinking.
Let's see. The Amityville Horror House, they call it the Amityville Horror House. It sold in January 2023.
Okay.
For $1.4 million. That was $240,000 less than the asking price.
But see, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, that's for homes in that area. That's really not that inflated a price, is it?
Probably.
I mean, for there.
Probably not. Yeah, probably not. Usually houses like that, like the Conjuring house and this one, usually they have a steep price tag attached because of the history.
Right.
This one, I guess, I don't know. Yeah, that price, I figured it would be more than that, actually. The Lutz family moved in the 70s, and the dad ended up killing his family. Did he kill everybody? Was it just the kids? I think he.
So this is 2 mass murders in this house. Is that right?
Yes.
And this is the Lutz that did this?
Yeah, and they only lived there 28 days. Now, when you watch the Amityville Horror movie, you think this was something that occurred over a period of years while they lived there. They only lived there a month, but they claimed, all the claims included levitations, visions of hags.
Hags?
Hags.
Is that like a witch?
Yeah, I think so. That's what I picture.
Is it just the elderly neighbor looking through the window?
I don't know. I don't know. They claim, the inside temperatures would never warm up, even with all the fireplaces going, slime oozing from walls and doors. That was some of the claims. I'm trying to look through and see who all he murdered. I'm pretty sure he murdered everybody, the kids and the wife and everybody. Anyway, he did. That's also a fact. He shot them. But then he claims that it was the same demon that caused the original owner to kill his family that caused him to do it too. But this guy was not a drug user. And that's kind of the story.
Is this guy still in prison today?
Well, that's what I was just thinking, because he was on Coast to Coast AM.
If he did that, how did he get, unless he called from jail?
Well, that's what I had never really thought about that before.
I mean, if he killed all those people,
he would have to be in jail.
How to get out of that? Does he have just a really good lawyer? I mean, what's going on with that?
Well, the demon did it.
He died in 2006. God, I don't know.
Can you look and see if he was in jail? I mean, because how did he avoid that?
Moved in the house in 1975 with his wife and kids. Okay, no, he didn't kill his wife. He killed his kids.
Well,
that's much less severe.
Well, I'm reading through. And he and his wife didn't even divorce until the 80s. And then she died in 2004. He was sentenced to 25 years to life. So he was in jail. Okay, what the hell? I was going to say he had to be in jail. I don't know. This is the kind of facts I should have had gathered before we even started. I didn't know we were going to go quite this deep into it. So yeah, he was sentenced to jail. And apparently, here's his mugshot. So he went to jail. Yes, he went to jail. 25 years to life for killing his kids. And then he and his wife remained married for another 10 years and then got a divorce, and she died in 2004 of emphysema. So anyway, that's the story there.
It's okay, honey. I forgive you.
I mean, really.
For shooting both of our kids.
Yeah. Face down in their beds. And then they kind of paired up. One of the reasons why they didn't get a divorce is because now they've got this paranormal story. And they took polygraph tests. And the results of the polygraph did not indicate deception. So I didn't know that.
Have there ever been, and I'm going to bet the answer is yes, but there have to have been paranormal investigations done to this house from teams going in to try to find something. I mean, especially, you've got 2 situations here where you've got stories that are very, very similar, both ending in incredible tragedy. I just can't believe there wouldn't have been paranormal investigations done into this home?
There have been many. Well, obviously, the big one was Ed and Lorraine Warren. They were there. They were part of that story. They're the Conjuring House people, the ones that took the Annabelle doll out. So Ed and Lorraine Warren are like the original, I don't know, they claim to be the original founders of paranormal investigating. I don't know where everybody falls on them. They did an investigation there in the 70s. They were wrapped up in that whole story. And then Jason Hawes, who's with Taps, Ghost Hunters, apparently he did one too. Did he do one or did he just talk about it? I don't remember him ever actually well, maybe he did. But anyway, the answer is yeah, there have been lots of investigations over the years.
What have they found? What have the investigators found there? Have they published anything that you've seen?
Nothing that I've found. Nothing that I've seen here anyway, other than, everything you look up, it always brings up Ed and Lorraine Warren first and, some of the stuff that they claim.
What are their claims? I'm not familiar.
They claim that everything that he said, in the house was true, that there was a demon in there, that they had encounters, with a demonic force in the house. But there's also, you got to keep in mind, Ed and Lorraine Warren weren't just your typical paranormal investigators. They claimed, or she claimed at least, to use psychic abilities too.
Okay.
I don't know much about their process, really. If you watch the Conjuring movie, I mean, they're the main characters in it. Of course, that's a movie, based loosely off of real events. Man, I'm just so unsure on what exactly happened with the Lutz guy, as far as how the hell did he do all this from jail? Did he do these calls into Art Bell and do these books and all this crap from jail? I don't know. It's odd. We've talked about.
There does appear to be some sort of a negative energy or something that's in that house. I mean, to have two of those killers in a home like that and back-to-back people, that seems a little odd to me.
Yeah. I mean, you have to look at it. You could look at it that way, or you could look at, it is. I mean, the first guy who did the murder, the original murder, killing his family, his parents and his siblings, was a drug user, a really heavy drug user.
I can understand that one.
But he was into satanic rituals too. He was. I mean, there was proof there. Could that have conjured something up? I don't know how that works. I just don't have any idea. He claims, it did. And he claims, this thing communicated with him regularly and told him to kill his whole family. And then this other guy, this next guy, George Lutz, said the same thing. Said the same things to him too. I don't know.
We've had situations before where people, some of our active places, people have done things to try to conjure things.
Oh, yeah. The Willard one was one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not quite as deep as doing a full-on satanic ritual, but there was a Ouija board.
Right. If Dustin were here, he would talk about the fact that he will eat the Ouija board.
Yeah, I remember.
Because he is 110% not on board with that.
No. Are you? You have a Ouija board. I forgot you bought one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have one.
Did you ever use it?
We bought that.
Nope.
We bought that Ouija board because we were gonna take it. We were going to take it to Mars Hill, weren't we? Where were we going to take it?
Mars Hill.
I think we all pussed out.
Well, we had some other problems that happened at Mars Hill, too.
Yeah,
we didn't have it at Mars Hill.
I feel like we bought it after
I think it was after, because we were going to take it to Ashley's house.
That's right.
Is she okay with that?
She was okay with that.
Ashley would do it in a heartbeat.
She was fine with it.
I mean, you guys can try it out if you want, but I'm not fucking with it.
You were the one who were going to do it.
No, I'm not going to do it.
No,
I'm not touching it.
I looked up. I looked into it a little more.
I remember.
And I'm not.
And that's always been my stance on those damn things as well. Is I don't necessarily believe in them, but I'm not going to use it.
I'm not going to do it.
One of us needs to.
I'm not going to be the one.
It has to be two, right?
Yeah, it has to be at least two.
I'm not one of the two, so there's things that I think you just let alone, and maybe I don't 100% buy into that, but I buy into it enough that I'm not going to do it.
Well, I don't fucking buy into it either, but
there was some story you read that rattled you a little bit.
John.
Oh, was it his story?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go into it. I'm not going to go into it.
No, you don't have to go into it. I was thinking you'd read something, you'd pulled something up like on a Reddit.
No, I read John's messages.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not doing it.
Okay.
No, it was enough for me.
Well, even without having a story like that attached to it, I just don't want to do it. It's like I said before. I mean, bungee jumping is pretty safe. I'm not going to do that shit either.
Oh, it's very safe.
For the same reason is the risk,
Ropes have snapped.
The risk far outweighs the reward for me.
Yeah.
I would like to. However, I'm not gonna, because I don't believe it, but I don't want to try it. Because there is a chance, and whether people's experiences were coincidence or not, I'm not up to it.
No, I've seen enough bad stories about them to be, that's enough of a deterrent for me. I mean, there's really no positive I mean, what's the positive that's going to come from it?
On the other hand, it's a piece of cardboard with paint on it.
Well, I know, and people have actually...
Right,
So-
and Dustin, if Dustin were here, he would be chiming in that, oh, really? So is Monopoly now haunted as well because it's made in the same factory with these other games?
Dustin's the one who's actually said he would use it. He doesn't care.
Yeah, but it takes two.
You got to have two is the problem.
And Bobby said she would do it, but I don't feel like getting murdered in my sleep. So
I am not. Let me
I've
be
been
crystal
very clear
on
from the
that.
very beginning.
No
I'm
way.
not touching it.
maybe Hunter would do it.
Yeah, you got to have a lot of credibility and trust in your whoever else's hands are on the planchette that nobody's going to move it. But I've looked. There have been times in the past where I've seen some really, really good paranormal stories where people have just made their own Ouija board with a poster board and a marker and an upside down wine glass.
I've seen those.
Where the wine glass blew up.
Busts, yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the idea of the Ouija board come from? I mean, is that...
It's just a communication device. I don't understand why there's any power behind it.
Is there a religious part to the Ouija board? Is this based in some religion somewhere? Is this based in witchcraft? What is this?
I think it's more
Where did
based
this come from?
in witchcraft than it is any standardized religion.
It was actually created. The first one was created, I thought it would have been longer ago than this, but in 1886.
For what purpose?
In Maryland. It was used as a parlor game.
And then spooky shit started happening?
Apparently, yeah. The board's success was linked to the rise of the American spiritualist movement after the Civil War.
See, that doesn't give any more credibility to me.
The board's popularity grew during World War I as a device to communicate with the dead.
See, the problem you get into with any sort of dead communication, there's enough stuff out there that, it doesn't take a lot to fake that. There's so much generic stuff that you can reach over. This is someone that you loved that has passed away. There's so much generic stuff that you can grab onto with that.
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking through here. I mean, it was patented in 1891. It was supposed to be a harmless device, used for fun, but then people claimed they were contacting the dead and far worse, apparently, in some cases. I don't know. Hell, I don't want to dig too deep.
See, I just would not want to play around with that kind of stuff. I'm not somebody that really believes in that a whole hell of a lot. I'm not a big portal person that thinks, oh my gosh, that's a portal to another world, or I don't subscribe to any of that, but there's certain things that I just won't.
There's some people out there who won't even have a mirror in their homes. A mirror, just, a mirror that you can buy at, wherever, Walmart.
Right. They think it's a portal.
Yeah. I don't buy into that. And yes, I have mirrors in my house. So, as far as that goes.
I just don't buy that.
I would like it. It's one of those things that you would either have to try for yourself or watch someone that you implicitly trust try it. We only have one person who's willing to do it.
Is the rule you have to have? Are there rules?
You have to have
two. It has to be two.
Okay. It has to be two people.
Or at least the ones I've seen.
Why?
That's what I'm asking. Who made that rule? Is that just because how they did in the parlors in 1890?
I would maybe try, if we had one person, like I say, we had Dustin try it, put his hand on the planchette, and then I would put mine on, and the moment it moves, fucking be done.
You had an idea once, blindfolding the people.
That's something to do with a double blind type thing.
Yeah, you could blindfold the people. That way,
if even if
they are moving the planchette, you can't spell anything.
Right, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You know, we could even make it a more blind test by not letting the people see the board before you blindfold it, because then you could get a visual image of where the letters are if you see the board, because the size of the board matters, and the size of the font matters, and the size of the planchette and the location of it matters.
And the size of the window on the planchette and all that.
Blindfold two people, set the board down in front of them, and see what happens. If nothing happens, it's bullshit.
I wonder why nobody's ever done that before. Maybe they have.
They probably have.
I think a lot of it is that people that play with Ouija boards want to find something. I think a lot of it is fake. A lot of it is people that, it's kind of like if you're out ghost hunting one night. Do you really most people that go ghost hunting will use these apps and things like that because they want to find ghosts. I think most people that play with a Ouija board want it to say something to them, so they don't go to that extra mile to prove that this is not true.
I would maybe be okay with putting my hand on it and seeing if it moves once.
Not me.
I know Dustin's not going to push it, and he knows I'm not going to push it because neither of us really, truly, honestly believe in any of this horse shit. But if it does move, I'm done. One and done. One letter. Is that enough to attach a demon to my life for the rest of eternity? I don't know, but
I don't know.
I would maybe try
I'm not going to do it.
Letting it move one letter.
I'm not going to do it, and I don't even know if I even want to be in the house when it's going on. I think I would be happy with Hunter providing me with video of it occurring that way.
We could video it.
if something's going on.
We could video it. If someone's willing to do it, we could video it. Yeah, for sure.
How come you're not willing to do it?
I've always said up front with no hesitation that I'm not willing to do it.
Yeah, I'm not. I also am. Nope.
I'm hesitant.
That right there should tell you in itself. I mean, the guy who would run into if I came down and said there's monsters downstairs, Tyler would say bullshit, and he'd go running down there to fight the monster that's in the tunnel. When that guy is hesitant,
I mean, the board has been assigned its own fucking demon.
I've had a couple of friends who have messed with it, and then a family member who's messed with it, and I've heard weird things from both of them or all three of them. Man, I don't. The thing that bothers me is it doesn't make any sense. Why a piece of cardboard?
I agree.
Made by the same people who make fucking Uno.
I agree 1,000%. There should be zero bearing to it at all.
The Ouija board, supporters, the people who believe they're real, they say it's not about the board or the fact that it's plastic that was molded in a factory. They say it's about your intentions.
Well, my intentions are fairly pure. I don't have any. What intentions? What?
Well, your intention is to communicate with someone who's dead.
My intention is to see if it's real.
Because another story I'm remembering now that's on Paranormal Witness. Yeah, you are watching. You're watching Paranormal Witness. Have you seen the one where the little girl she gets addicted to communicating to this thing by herself with this Ouija board?
No,
you can do it by yourself.
She does it by herself.
Just make Dustin do it by himself. See if it works. If it doesn't, I'll put my hand on it.
She did it by herself and claimed the thing would even move if she didn't touch it. There was a little girl. She got addicted. She wouldn't even leave her room because she got addicted to communicating with this friend.
That's creepy as shit.
And then the friend, started out friendly, talking about, little girl stuff.
Yep.
But then it started getting dark.
See, that's exactly. There's so many different episodes of Paranormal Witness, and they all start like that, where it starts off with a playing with another little girl or another little boy, and everything's all going good and fine, and then steadily it starts getting meaner and meaner and meaner. And I think then it goes back to the guy that you knew who had the book, who said you don't really know exactly what you're communicating with.
To intentions, like I don't even want to talk to people who are alive. I sure as hell don't want to talk to any that are dead, but I will do it for science.
I think that a lot of the desire to communicate with people that are gone generally happens like
loneliness.
Loneliness, but it's also a situation where you've lost a parent that you were really close to, a sibling you were really close to. It's that vulnerability time, and I will tell you that when you're in those kind of vulnerability moments, your mind will plant things that are there that may not even really be there, you know, and that's what Chris and I have had this conversation,
It's part of grief, even long-term grief.
Yeah, that this is why you can't really do a paranormal investigation that you are too close to. And I'll tell you that firsthand. You can't do that because you're going to see things. If it's if you think it's your dad that has passed away, or your sister, or whoever it is that you're close to, your mind will shape things to fit that. And that's why you should never, ever do a paranormal investigation that you yourself are tied to it.
Even if you think you really want to talk to a dead relative, you don't really want to do that.
No. Well, and number one, how do you even know? And this is the, help me, what's his name?
Are you talking about
the guy?
Ed...
Yeah, Becker.
Edwin Becker.
This is why he talks about that you don't want to do that, because you don't know. You think it is your sister that you are very close to that's passed away because it knows certain things that only your sister would know. But if you can be a spirit communicating back, it would be pretty easy for a spirit to know those things.
I found that episode, by the way. It is Paranormal Witness, and the episode is called From Hell. It's 2016. It's three sisters, three Mexican girls in Texas, and then two of them break away. They don't want to do it anymore, and the one continues by herself, communicating.
So the initial contact was made with a group.
Yeah.
So here's a question. Maybe you can find something on this. I'm not sure this has ever been asked before. Maybe it has. I don't know. As far as Ouija board experiences go, does geographic location play a role in what language is being communicated? Like if you're in Mexico and you use a Ouija board, is the communication in Spanish? Is it in Latin? Is it in English? I don't see any reason why it would be in English.
We talked about this last week.
Yeah, we did. Well, it was 2 weeks ago.
A couple of weeks ago. We actually talked about this very thing, not for Ouija boards, but for EVPs.
I think we were actually talking about concentration camps.
We were.
Wonderful.
Well, we were talking about
Dustin was talking
investigating.
Dustin was talking about the fact that we had never caught any EVPs that were outside of English, and why is that?
And we were talking about that because of the Waka Waka thing that we played.
Yeah, we talked about that. So maybe we did play that.
I think we did. Well, we played it again last week. The point is, we talked about it because I brought up this this Ghost Hunters used to have a show called Ghost Hunters International, where it was a different team, you know, and I don't remember, they were in Italy or no, it was actually Japan. I forgot it was in Japan, and they did a paranormal investigation, and their EVPs captured were all in English.
Where?
Japan.
In Japan?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, that's what we were talking about. It's like, why?
Why wouldn't that be in, why wouldn't that be in the language
Japanese
of the area?
Yeah.
Well, was it a Japanese Ouija board?
Well, it wasn't a Ouija board.
It was an investigation with EVPs.
And they caught that. And Dustin's answer was, well, is it because the audience that was watching this show was primarily English speakers? And then, because Dustin was kind of going down that road, and that's whenever he said, well, we've never caught any EVPs that were not in English. And I said, that's not true. We caught German stuff here.
We did catch some German
shit,
didn't we?
Yeah, we did, because you when I played it back, you
said, I recognize it?
Yeah, you recognized it as German, and you said you're out because you would not deal with Nazi ghosts.
Yeah.
And that's whenever you freaked the hell out. You said, I will not deal with a Nazi ghost.
Who would?
So that's what happened with that.
German is a very
distinct language.
Noticeable, very distinct, very brunt.
It's very
hard pronunciation.
Aggressive.
It's very easy to recognize someone who's speaking German versus Spanish.
Yeah. Yeah, we did catch
German.
Yeah, we did, because you said Nazi ghost, I'm out.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. That's interesting.
But if it holds true, if American investigators are in Japan capturing Japanese spirits speaking English, why wouldn't the German, that we captured here
speak English? And lots of Germans, especially ones that were in America,
were able
speak
to, yes.
English.
Yeah, but these guys may not have. If you're going to go down the road that these are dead Nazis that were here at Pythian Castle because of World War II, they were holding them. They may not have known any English.
And
well, I was going to say that most other populations in other countries other than America are dual linguistic. Yeah. They speak more than one language.
Yeah.
Most people learn a different language when they're in elementary school in other countries.
Yeah.
It's primarily English, because English is I hate to say it, but the language of business.
Yeah, and we probably should throw out there real quick that reference we made to, there may be people listening who have no fucking idea why there would be Germans in Pythian Castle.
Oh, yeah, you should maybe say something.
But the castle was actually used as a, what's the word I'm looking for?
POW
yes.
camp.
The U.S. Army took over Pythian Castle during World War II. The lower areas of this, they do have some cells that they did hold some POWs here for whatever reason. And there's a tunnel that runs underneath here that connects to another building. That's where Mr. Boots and all of this paranormal activity that we talk about happens here at the castle. Now, I'm going to throw another idea out here. What if the ones that we're hearing in English are ones where it is attempting to communicate to you, and the ones you're hearing that are in another language are what are called residual?
Well, that's what I was going to mention. The ones that are speaking German that we catch, here in Pythian Castle, would likely be a residual type EVP versus, one that's actively trying to communicate with you. At that point, it would make sense that it would be in English. I mean, it makes sense. Hell, it doesn't make sense at all. But if you're going to try to categorize it, I think that's probably right. Yeah, that would be like a residual type thing. As far as the language affecting the Ouija board, I can't find anything on that.
You'd have to have a Ouija board made in Spanish.
Do they? I'm assuming they.
Well, of course they will. I mean, they'll have. They're not all going to be in English. They'll have them in every language you want.
You could. Spanish may be a bad example because you can spell out Spanish words with English letters.
Yeah, you can. Mm-hmm. That's true.
But you could go over to German. You can't do that.
I mean,
Japanese.
If you were in Asia, you would need.
Japanese would be the ultimate test because that alphabet is a nightmare.
Yeah. It really would, because it would. They all look exactly the same. Well, that's easy.
And if you get a bunch of Midwestern cowboys,
I was going to say,
there's squiggly line over squiggly line, straight line together.
T, T. It looks like a T. A guy sitting on a toilet.
If we have those guys, Dustin will be our communicator with them.
I'm trying to find anything about Ouija boards in other languages. I can't find jack on it.
I didn't know much about Pythian when we did that investigation. It'd be interesting to hear that again, the German EVP.
Yeah, we've got all that stuff. We should dredge it back up.
Because I don't know if I knew at the time that there were German people.
No, you
I
did.
thought there were Japanese POWs.
You knew. You most certainly knew there were because when I sent that around, I said that I don't know how that's possible, but that's because we talked about it being Japanese, and that's when Melissa said, "Oh no, there were Germans there too. We didn't know that." And that's whenever you threw your hands up and said, "Nazis, I'm out."
Yeah.
God, I don't remember that.
Yeah. You said, "I am not dealing with a Nazi ghost."
I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that.
Well, we can make that a. We should really revisit that whole investigation.
We should.
Where we did the overnight here at Pythian Castle. I mean, hell, I don't think we've talked about it more than that once. We've talked about it a bunch of other places we've done a million times.
I know some German. Like I can't speak it, not even close to being fluent, but
you know what
I could spell out.
What you can do, there's places on the internet that you can plug that in and it will translate over. And we never did that.
No, we didn't do much.
We really didn't do much.
We did the investigation. We collected. We did that well.
It's kind of bizarre that we didn't do that part of that.
Why the hell didn't we do that?
I think it was just the fact that we were just moving on.
Well, I think it was also how legible,
new.
how clear was that?
It may not have been very clear.
I don't remember. I just remember.
Did John just say we were pretty new?
Pretty new here.
Oh,
I was going to say
this was 3 years ago.
No, I mean we were pretty new to this castle.
Oh, okay.
When we did that investigation, we hadn't been coming here that long.
Yeah,
I was going to say I've been doing this most of my adult life.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about.
I'm almost 30 fucking years old.
I was going to say we can only use that. We're still pretty new at this crutch for so long.
Well, but we were new here.
Yeah,
and so I think that there were other things we were more enamored with than the German deal.
I might be able to try and translate that.
We'll pull all that up. We should bring that in for our next and revisit that whole thing. I think that would probably be a good idea. It's going to be a bit of a project.
Yeah, you have to get in there and find
pulling it all out, but we can do it.
But yeah, if I hear a EVP here that's some stereotypical angry Nazi shit, like I'm done.
I just can't remember what it was.
I don't remember exactly what it was, but there was something about that because I played that EVP back and I said, I think that's in German. And that's when Ty just threw his hands up and said, no way, I'm no angry Nazi ghost. And that's blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And because then I told him, I said, well, we don't know necessarily that they're Nazis. Now the odds are high that they would be Nazis.
Yep.
But we didn't know that.
Well, we'll have to make that our project before we come in next time. Next time we come in, we will bring in our EVPs from our Pythian Castle investigation that we did. Was that 2 years ago? I don't even remember.
I think it's been 3,
has
maybe.
Has it been 3?
We need
to
come back.
Yeah, we got to renew that.
We did talk about this whenever you were doing your Hollywood stint because I had to go back and find the chair thing and I was like a year off.
So it has been 3. It was in January. I remember that
because it was so unbelievably cold.
So it must have been 2022 we did it.
It was super cold here that night.
It was unbearably cold.
Yeah. So we need to go through and start pulling all that out, and then when we come in again, let's bring it all in and kind of go over that investigation again. Because when we start playing these, we're going to start remembering different things that happened that night.
Yeah.
So let's make that our plan.
We'll have more as we revisit Pythian Castle from Pythian Castle with Midwest Ghost Hunters on the way next week.